Whether you're out on a hike, or hunting, or traveling, or gaming, for flavor, satisfaction, and portability, beef jerky may just be the holy grail of pocket snacks. Well, I got a smoking deal on a brand new food dehydrator, and I figured I'll break it in, making a spicy sriracha and garlic beef jerky that everyone's gonna love. So let's get started. Let's talk about the cuts of meat you want to use for making your jerky. You want to get cuts of meats that are very lean. That's why Wild Game makes some of the best jerky, because it's pure lean meat with no fat marbled in. And the reason you want your meat to be so lean is that any of the fat that's marbled within this meat is not going to fully dehydrate, and over time it will go rancid and give your jerky an off flavor, and nobody wants that. So I've got Top Round here today, also known as London Broil. It's pretty lean. It just has this fat cap that I can cut off really easily. I've got it partially frozen so it'd be nice and easy to cut into thin strips. I got a couple of freshly sharpened razor sharp knives, and I'm going to cut mine into sort of 1" by 1/4" strips, but that's entirely up to you. I'm also going to try as much as possible to cut against the grain so that it's not too chewy when I'm done. So I will take this little fat cap off of there, and that is going to go into the grind for some sausage that I'm making, so nothing lost there. These little bits of fat, and I can see a little that I need to trim right through here. And one little chunk right there. Alright, now I can see, you can kind of look at your piece of meat and see where it wants to break. Right through here, I see a nice line to break there. So I'll take that and then I'll turn it on edge to go against the grain with this particular piece. And I'll just cut that into my nice strips. I like my jerky about 1/4 inch, just kind of thick, but I really like the texture of that. Last one, I'll do the old lay-in fillet. Perfect. So you can see I've cut against the grain. This is a very tough piece of meat, so by cutting against the grain, I'm going to make it as tender as I can. I got one of these tenderizers a while back that's spring-loaded and loaded with the really sharp points there. So you just kind of pound down on the meat and those points come out. I always thought this would be really cool in like a cool kung fu fighting scene in a movie. But get on that Jackie Chan. Anyway, I'm just gonna pop this down. I'm not gonna do it too much. These are thin pieces of meat. I have overdone it once and the results were not that great. So I'm just gonna go over them a little bit. Now a little food safety tip. Every time I hit those, I'm potentially poking a little bacteria down into this mat I got under here. I use a little softer mat so I'm not gonna dull the tips, but I'm potentially pushing some bacteria into that every time I do this, so this is gonna be thoroughly disinfected after I'm done. Now I'm gonna weigh the meat so I know exactly how much cure I need to use on this. 8 pounds, so that's going to be a little more than 1.5 teaspoons of cure. Let's put together the marinade. And you can go online and find literally thousands of recipes for marinades. Just pick one you like or make your own up. That's what I did here. This sounded good one day and I threw it together and it came out pretty good, so I figured I'd do it again. Now I'm going to begin with 1.5 cups of Worcestershire sauce, 1/2 cup soy sauce. I've got 2 tablespoons, maybe a little more of garlic powder. It's going to be pretty garlicky. And a cup of Sriracha. You don't have to go with that much, but I want it to be pretty spicy. And I have 1/2 cup of brown sugar. And that's not going to make it super sweet. Some jerkies are just far too sweet for my taste. like every single jerky that you buy at the supermarket, is far too sweet for my taste, so I really like to keep that down, keep sort of a nicer balance between the salty and the sweet. And I'm going to stir this until that sugar is completely dissolved. Then I'll give it a taste and adjust. It's pretty good. I'm actually going to add about 1/4 cup more sugar. I got a lot of meat here, a lot of marinade. That's still not going to make it super sweet. Now, everything's thoroughly mixed together, the sugar is completely dissolved, and it tastes just about right to me. And now I'm going to add in the cure. And for this slightly more than 8 pounds of meat that I have, it's 11 grams of cure, and you want to be pretty precise with your cure. Also, this is completely optional. I like what it does to the color and the texture of the finished jerky, and you'll find this cure in virtually every commercial brand jerky brine that you can buy. However, if you're concerned about nitrates, it is completely optional in jerky. And now, it's just as simple as mixing the meat and the marinade. I got plenty of marinade here for that, looks like. Now I want to mix it very thoroughly. Make sure that marinade is touching every bit of every slice of that meat. It won't take long. That looks great. You don't necessarily want your meat swimming in marinade, but you do want it to be thoroughly coated. And now I'm just going to pack the meat into 2 or 3 gallon bags. And that is going to go out into the refrigerator for 2 days to give that marinade and that cure time to work its magic. And every so often I'll go out there and I'll kind of massage the bag a little bit and move that jerky around to make sure everything gets nice and coated and nice and marinated. So I've got my marinated sliced meat, and it looks like it soaked up most of that marinade. I only strained off a couple of drops, so I think that's going to be pretty good. And now I just want to pat off any excess liquid. There's really not a lot on here, which is nice. So I'll just lay it on these paper towels and just dab it off. Nice. And now we'll take that right to the dehydrator racks. Now when you're laying jerky out on your racks, whether it's the smoker or this dehydrator, get them tight, but don't let them touch each other, or they're going to be a spot that's wet and nasty right there a lot of times. So just space them out a tiny bit. Now as I'm loading up these racks, I'm kind of selecting for thickness. I want to get all similar thicknesses on each rack so that they're done right about the same time. You know, if I could put all my thick ones on one rack and they got to go a little bit longer, it's going to be a lot easier than pulling out the rack and picking off the done pieces and leaving the others behind. So just like to keep it kind of uniform on each rack. Alright, I got my racks loaded up, and it's the first time using this dehydrator, like I said, and I'm already impressed at the capacity. I've got 7.5 racks out of 10 used up, and 8 pounds of jerky on there. That's a pretty good deal. Since this is the first time I'm doing this, I'm at the mercy of the directions that came with the dehydrator, and luckily they're printed right by the controls on top of the dehydrator, and that says this should be 3 to 5 hours at 145 to 155. So I'll set that at 150, and these are pretty thick slices, so I'm fairly certain they're going to be on the upper end of that 3 to 5 hours, maybe even a little longer for the thickest pieces. Well, this looks pretty simple. I've just got a dial here that I'll crank up. I'm just going to go ahead and go all the way to 155. That's the max. So there's some little instructions for various things to dehydrate. I've got a little on-off switch here. Looks like I've got a timer. I'll just set that for 8 hours, and then I'll hit the start button. And there it goes. It's the first time I smell a little funk coming off those heater coils, so I'm gonna let that burn off for a few minutes before I put the jerky in there. Let's load her up. I tell you, this does smell good. It smells nice and spicy. It's exciting. There we go. Now all we gotta do is wait. Let's take a look 4 hours in at how we're doing. Those big thick ones definitely not ready. Ooh, that one's very close. Oh, very, very close. Yeah. Some of the really thin ones are ready. But most of them are going to take a little bit longer. Ooh, nice. I'm going to snatch one out of there, though. Just a sample. Oh, baby. Looks good. Smells great, too. Now let's see how we did. Right off the bat, I can tell you that the color is perfect. It's nice and red, not black or brown, and I can actually hold it up to the light and see that it's red through and through. Check the pliability. It's not too crackly. It's nice and dry on the surface, and there's no spongy spots in here, so I think it's dried out just about right. Now let's see how it tears. Oh, that was nice. Not too difficult, not too easy, but what's really important, of course, is how it tastes. So let's give this a try. Whoa! Whoa! Sweet cheesecake! That is some good jerky. Well, the sweet and saltiness is just where I like it. And even though I used all that hot sauce, it just brought it up to give it a nice little bite. Definitely not hot. Oh man. You better keep this a secret if you've got it around, or be willing to share every bit of it. That is some good jerky. And I think I'm even sold on using the dehydrator over the smoker from now on. Just the ease of use, the precision controls, and I didn't even have to go outside. And the jerky came out this good. It doesn't get much better than that. Well, I really hope you try this, either with beef or wild game, and I know you're gonna love it. And if you do, please like and subscribe for more. Thanks for watching. Ho 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 ho.